Hi, everyone. I've missed you these last couple of weeks. It's been really busy. I was out camping and I was busy doing other projects, but I'm happy to be back doing another live stream for you guys. I've just done a recording of another rock video, and I just thought I would talk to you guys about how to power up the voice. There's a lot of misconceptions about where the voice gets the power. And I've seen from a lot of singers feeling like they need to control the face in order to get the sound out. They want to push their face like this. Of course, not the bands I'm listening to, but I see this in singers a lot. And the voice is really powered by the breath. And I think everybody knows that. But the breath for singing, especially for intense rock and opera and other intense vocal styles, needs to be a bit more than our typical breathing. Because our typical breathing, we just breathe in, breathe out. I know there's some other vocal coaches that say, oh, just relax, just use the breath. It should feel natural. Okay. Singing metal and rock isn't natural. It is not something that people do. It's athletic. So you need to bring in a lot of power in order to sustain that intense singing. So the way we do it is not by trying to push it out of your face and getting all this neck tension. Yeah, that was really lovely. Not, but from allowing the breath to create the energy. So the way we do that, it's not just breathing in and breathing out, but it's learning to hold back the air. That's really the secret of energizing the voice, is that we are not going to just blow all our air out because there's no fuel. It's kind of like a car. I use the analogy of a car with a gas pedal. So the gas pedal controls how much gas the engine takes. And the gas is going to be dependent on what you're doing. So if you're going up a steep hill, you know you're going to be stepping on the gas. But if you're just driving around the neighborhood, you're going to use a little gas. So I think of the analogy, if you're just singing mellow, okay, so I'm not using a lot of breath energy there. I'm just letting the voice kind of flow gently out. But if I'm singing again, okay, so I have to give it a lot more to do that. So I'm using that breath, but you can't see because it's down below of where I'm speaking. Oh, there's the hanger on the door. Oh, well. Okay, so you need to learn to feel the holding back the air in the ribs. And this is something that's not necessarily intuitive because we live in a indoor culture, I should say. I think 100, 200 years ago, everybody was outside. The only way you could talk to somebody a long distance is shout. So everybody knew how to throw the voice out. Everybody knew how to shout across long distances. People were working with animals. And so they were able to practice intense vocalization. But now that we're all inside, okay, use your inner voice. You're in the library. Everybody learns to shut down. That happens probably before we get to be middle school age, but no one tells you how to fuel the voice. So everybody shuts down their voice. Then they get all insecure because it's middle school. I feel weird. I feel weird. My voice is weird. And then, of course, everybody's going through puberty, right? So the voices change. And so people kind of lose it. They lose the ability to energize their voice freely. Really, we should have places we can go and we can just like, you do a shooting range, you go shoot guns and you can shoot and you can feel that power. We need to have a voice throw out range. We need to have a place where we can say, hey, and really practice the voice. So we can really practice that energy, because the energy is what fuels the voice, and the energy is in the breath and holding back the breath. All right, so let's look at the questions here. All right, you look beautiful today. Thank you. I put on a lot of makeup to do these things, because if I didn't put the makeup on you, it wouldn't be as good. All right, evening. Yeah, it's afternoon for me. I'm on the West Coast. Let me see the question. Anthony, quick. Does this also relate to musical theater when you belt everything out? Yes, absolutely. Musical theater and rock singing are kind of related, especially with the belt, because we're doing this like that Wicked, defying gravity, God. It's the same. It's the same use. And yes, we have to use all that breath energy. And so when you see the singers with the really relaxed faces, whether they were going, We're doing it's passive. Everything is passive here. It's energized down below. In fact, one of my voice teachers who I took lessons from when he was 92, he was a master. I was so lucky. He had this saying called imaginary line. That's how he talked. Everything, there's an imaginary line right here. So everything above the line is relaxed. And everything below the line is where that power comes from, down below. In fact, one of my students years ago who loved metal, and she probably loved all the bands I'm starting to react to, she called it the inner fist. You need to feel that energy in the inner fist, which is down below. All right. Yes. Let's see. Next question. I always got told off for speaking too loudly as my voice is so low it carries. I have heard so many stories like that. In fact, I have a daughter who is that way. The librarians did not like her. Like, oh no, here she comes. You know, she could not keep her voice quiet, and it was a very kind of enthusiastic person, and so the voice was loud. I was one of those people too. My mom said my voice was really loud as a kid, and yeah, I was always told to be quiet. But luckily, came from a musical family, so I was encouraged to sing, so I didn't completely shut down. Because that's what happens to a lot of people. They get told to like use your inside voice, they get in trouble for being too loud, and then yeah, you have to learn. Okay, what did you write? But it taught me how to vary my volume singing. Yeah, exactly. And so that's one of my frustrations is that children get told to be quiet. And I get it. No one wants to be in a classroom full of kids being rowdy and loud when you're trying to teach a lesson. But what they don't do is they don't give them a place to freely use their voice. And even choir, I have had students that are in music classes. We have elementary music. And to be honest, most of my students and for my own kids, you know, music classes were kind of a mixed bag in elementary school. And I think it's because they're trying to follow all the learning goals and make everybody learn in school. And so the joy and the passion is kind of out of it. And people should feel free to have their voice be free. Awesome. Okay, let me talk about Anthony quick. Any vocal exercises to practice breath support? Yes, I have several exercises on my YouTube. In fact, just look for breathing for singers. I have a a playlist. That's it. I have a playlist with all my YouTube videos. The first one I did was how to sing from using the diaphragm, which is a myth, meaning we use our diaphragm every day. It's kind of like how to sing by using my lungs, you know, that's kind of the same theory. Okay, sing with your lungs. Okay, we always sing with our lungs. We always sing with our diaphragm. Diaphragm is a breathing muscle. So when people talk about singing with the diaphragm, most voice teachers just roll their eyes go back really deeply because we use our diaphragm all the time. The main issue with breathing for singing is learning to hold the air back. That's it. We want to learn to feel the ribs. So when we breathe in, our ribs fill. And then normally breathing, we go release, okay? So when we're singing, especially intense music like rock and musical theater, we want to hold the energy in the ribs. So we need to feel this resistance. And the best way to do that is work on the hiss. And the hiss kind of, when you hiss, you're letting some air out, but you're letting some back. It's kind of like a balloon. When you hold a balloon, you can let it go, blow it up. Someday I'll get a balloon and we'll do this online. But if you hold it like this, we're tapering out the air. So that's kind of another analogy of feeling we're tapering out the air. We're letting some out, but we're keeping some in. And keeping that air in is where we generate power. That's how we do it. So I have the diaphragm video, which is the vocal myth, but I explain how the diaphragm works. Then I have a video on, 2 videos on teaching support exercises, and I don't remember their names, but one teaches this breathing pattern that I teach to every single student who comes to my studio, even if they're a professional singer, even if they have a voice major, even if they went to college, so they can get the feeling of how it feels to pull off the breath. And I think I have another one that I learned from one of my teachers that I have. So let me talk about, let's see, okay, RB93, yeah, I agree, we need choir. I had to sing with the tenors as my voice stood out from the group texture, with the altos and sopranos, because my voice is loud and it sounded too different from the group. I am so sorry to hear that, and I've heard that story so many times. It's almost like a routine. And unfortunately, voices don't happen like choir, like we have soprano, alto, tenor, basses. It's not like everybody's voice fits in these equal 25% categories. It doesn't work that way. Most voices tend to be sopranos for girls and kind of some kind of baritone. So there's usually a need for tenors, and then choir parts for tenors are really hard. So a lot of the bigger voice women tend to get stuck in tenor, and I don't advocate that. I think it creates bad habits for the singers, and choir teachers are trying to make the best of it, but not all of them know how to really work with the voices they have, unfortunately. Yes, and I'm sure you stood out. And I've had students that actually were powerhouse sopranos, like Ann Wilson, big voices that could sing super high. And they were not even allowed to sing soprano, even though they had the notes, because the director would say, oh, you're going to bury everybody else. You're going to bury all those little voices. So now we want you to sing alto. So I always tell people, what you sing in choir isn't your voice type. It isn't. It's what the choir needs. So whatever the choir teacher says, just take it with a grain of salt. In fact, I've had students that are singing, who are really sopranos, and they like to sing alto because it was fun. They like the alto parts, or their voice was really full, or they felt like they could relax more. So whatever you sing in choir, it's not what you are. All right, let's see. Because when I did solo ensemble, I got points taken off because of the breath. Yeah, and that's, it's hard to learn. It's really hard to learn the breath because it's hard to watch a video and learn. But, hopefully I have some good videos that you can look through and go through that. Awesome. And hi, Miss Valerie. Hi, Mark. And that's really good to hear. Yes, and it's never too late. It is never too late to build these skills. I have students all ages, beginners to advanced, and I've worked with beginners of all ages. So it's never too late. In fact, even if you had a vocal problem or you had some bad habits, you can go back and fix them. So it's just a matter of kind of retraining, because sometimes people have problems like they sing sick, or the girls that have to sing in the tenor range. That creates bad habits. Not that it's your fault, but no female high school teenager should be singing tenor. They really shouldn't. And I think most voice teachers agree with that. All right, you guys, thank you for chiming in. I so appreciate being able to talk to you guys again, and this will be the end of the live stream. So any questions, you can always send the questions in the comments below after the video posts, and I look forward to making more. All right, take care. Bye.